Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's ICFJ Global Health Crisis Reporting Forum webinar. My name is Paul Adipoji, and today we are taking the conversation from where we stopped last week regarding crafting grant winning pitches. Last week, we had representatives of organizations that are giving grants to journalists, and at that particular webinar, they shared insights into what they are always looking forward to reading anytime they receive grant applications. And during that webinar, we were able to know the mistakes that grant applicants are often making when turning in their applications. But today, we are looking at this same issue from another perspective by focusing on the journalists that have successfully laid grant applications, and so that they can share their insights on how they went about their application, so that whatever it is that you've been doing wrong in your grant applications, you can actually fix it and have insights on what to also add in order to enrich your applications. And we have participants, our panelists today are from different parts of the world. I would like to start with Fredrick Mugira. Fredrick, how are you doing today?
I'm fine. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you very much.
Yeah.
And from Panama, we also have Rekha Chandiramani. How are you doing, Rekha?
Fine, thank you. Hi to all.
Yes, and from Sudan, we have Ezaldeen. How are you doing, Ezaldeen? Your mic is off, Ezaldeen.
Okay, I'm very good, Chief. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you very much for joining us today. And wherever you are joining us from, we have opportunities for you to actively participate in today's conversation. So if you are joining us on the Zoom platform, you can ask your questions via the Q&A button right here on the Zoom platform. And if you are joining us on Facebook, I encourage you to put your questions under the Facebook live stream video that you are watching right now. Without much ado, we are going to start with brief presentations from Fredrick, and we'll also take it, the one that Rekha has for us. So Fredrick, can you share your screen so that we can start you can start your presentation? Yes, take it away from there.
Okay, thank you so much. I hope you can see my slides. My name is Fredrick Mugira. Thank you so much for introducing me. I am basically a journalist. My concentration is on water. For the last 15 years, I've been writing about water. So then, throughout those 15 years, I've started different networks. For example, I started heading Water Journalists Africa. Water Journalists Africa is a network of about 700 journalists in Africa who report about water. We started this in 2011. And then I also co-founded, under Water Journalists Africa, I worked with an American journalist, and we started InfoNile. InfoNile is a pure geojournalism platform. So we are about 500 journalists based in the 11 countries in the Nile Basin, doing pure geojournalism. But, that's the stuff I've been doing for the last 15 years, writing stories, editing stories, and also now I'm an editor at the Vision Group. Vision Group is the leading multimedia house in Uganda. Yeah, but throughout the 15 years, I've been winning some grants and also failing to win some. You send in your application and you fail. But there are some that I look back and say, yeah, I did it. You will see, as we go on, but one of them are right here. These are some of the grants, I've been winning. So in the past, I've scooped 2 journalism grants from National Geographic Society in the US, 3 journalism grants from Pulitzer in US, and climate and energy journalism grant that we one last year. These are international awards, and yeah. So and also climate change mentorship. Not for 2021, for 2015 to report from Paris. For 2018 to report from San Francisco, US, and 2018 again to report from Poland. I just wanted to show you some of the grants that and fellowships that I've been winning, and then probably from your side you may ask me a question: how did you manage to win these grants? I know we tried, we try to do proposals and look up and down, look for these call for applications, and we want to win, but sometimes you fail. I'm just letting you know that this probably is like 40% of the the grants I applied for. So probably 40% went through. But then you'd ask yourself, how did you manage to to win these grants? When I look back and see how we've been working on proposals, how you send in your proposal, you pitch, you don't go through, or you go through. So I strongly believe that when you master the art of crafting pitches using 5Ws and H, you can always win. I'm not guaranteeing you that when you do this you're gonna win, but you just try. You'll see probably you win 60% this time. Yeah, so we'll take you through briefly about 5Ws and H. And I think that when I sound 5Ws and H, this is kind of familiar for us as journalists, because we've been into this stuff for some time, and we know how we've been using 5Ws and H. I just want to show you one who. So if you think you're going to do your pitch, you're going to pitch, but you want to tell the funder who you are, show your audience, take advantage of who you are to outcompete others. Look through, talk about your media house, the importance, the size, the audience, composition. So funders want big audiences. So if you have a big media house, show it. Try to show. This is how I think you've been winning, especially grants for Pulitzer. We would make sure that we do all this stuff. And there are some who you may be a journalist and you say, but I have a small audience. For my media house is a small stuff. What do? I encourage you to do partnerships. We've been doing several partnerships with different media houses in the region, in the East Africa, in the Nile Basin. We've done, partnerships with about 11 media houses in the region, and we took on projects like the Sucked Dry you're seeing there, and we've been winning international awards. Several of them, more than 4 international awards that we've been working on. Why? Because we were able to sell the big audience we have from 11 countries, and then we did this as a partnership. I didn't work on this project alone. I had other journalists that I worked with. You will say, for me, I'm a freelancer. How do I show this? But it's very important for you as a freelancer, to show that you have been publishing with big media houses in the past. You realize you have to show that my stories in the past have been published by this media house, this one, New York Times. Then probably you are able to win. Also take this advantage and show your award-winning samples. It's very important. As you tell us who you are, show us your award-winning samples, and we'll judge. Again, I want to let you know that at InfoNile we give journalism grants, and in the past 4 years we've given 200 journalism grants. 200 journalists, getting grants from us, and also they send in their pitches. I will read through when I'm, going through their pitches. These are things that usually come into my mind. Also, take advantage. Get those strong letters of support. You can get from your editor. You can get from different media houses you want to partner with. In the past, for us to win these grants, I've been getting, support letters from Kenya, Science Africa, from, Code for Africa. Code for Africa does data visualizations, and, we'll be partnering with these guys. They give us, letters of support. And then also from my editors at New Vision, and, so that you want to show it is not just a thing of an individual, but, it's a collaboration. You have big media houses. You want to, sell your pitch. Yeah. So again, I want to take you to other slide. Yeah, so you would ask also. Yeah. Yes, this is one of the awards that our project, the Sucked Dry, it's been winning. Some of you guys know FETSOF Journalism Awards that were given out this year in Switzerland. We came out to number 3 in the category Outstanding Investigative, Reporting. We were given $11,000, which we shared among the reporters that worked with on this project. And this, as you can see right there, are the reporters that I worked with on this project. So when you were answering what in your pitches, you want to look at what do you want to accomplish. You want to say to the funders, to show them what you want to accomplish, what you want to do with their grant, and you must show them that it is doable. It's not just, going just there and you write and you say, I want to work on this, I want to investigate the effects of this on this, but you are not convincing them that it's doable. You must show the strength of your story idea. Make sure you concentrate on the focus. But again, as you look at what you're going to do, make sure that you have done research already and you know what the media house, what the funders want. We usually do research. When you see a call for application coming up, so I do research. I go through websites of these funders. I want to find out what have they been funding, what is the theme of this year. Yeah, so I look for different ideas. I do my homework. I look for different ideas on what they want to make sure that I fall into their interests. So, see, the stuff I showed you, their goals versus their interests. You have your goals, and they have their interests. So you must make sure that at least your goals fall into their interests. But also, it's very important to see if they have funded a topic around, your theme. Have they been funding this topic? One, it is advantageous. You want to know that, yes, this is something they want, they have been funding. I need to, also do something close to it. On the other side, it can be disadvantageous. You may want to work on something new. Probably this that they have been working on may not sell. So you may want to think of working on something new. Tell us where this project. It's very to show in your pitches the target audience. I told you now you want to show that your target area falls into their target area. We've been doing pitches, for the Nile Basin. And you find that you cover the 11 countries in the Nile Basin. But there are some funders who do not, for example, cover some particular countries. Like you find Ethiopia is out, Kenya is out. But again, you're able to fall into their, a target area when you say, I'm going to collaborate with different journalists in the region. Yeah, you want to show also how you have been covering this area, because it's very important to show that you're a master of this area. You know what has been happening. If they give you their, funds, you are able to go and investigate and, and find out. Again, some funders prefer collaboration, cross-border teams. It's very important that you show, if you are able to work with someone, do not just think about competing, but your aim is not just competition, getting money, but to make sure that you inform people of what is happening, to help them take right decisions. The affected, the decision makers, the policy makers, they must take right decisions. Yeah, to help these communities. And then, so it's very important for you to work with other media houses. Do not just think about, competition and end it there. Yeah, you must show what you know about this region. Yeah, so that you can take decisions. When we are going through pitches of journalists that apply for grants at InfoNine and Water Journalists Africa, we want to go back and do a Google search to know what has this guy been, working about his region. What does he know? Is he an expert in his region? Yeah, so it's very important for you to include this. Yeah, this is one of the projects that I'm working on. This is almost done. I'm working on this project with journalists in Rwanda and another one in DR Congo. Yeah, so you can see my study that was published by New Vision looked at how gorillas stole a Ugandan forest from humans, broomed it as it broomed them. Yeah, this also again was funded by Pulitzer. It's very important for you to make sure that your project, your story grant falls into the time frame for the funders. You don't want to say I will work on this project after 2 months when they want you to start immediately. At InfoNine, I've been giving journalists grants and you ask journalists to do these projects in 2 months. But you see someone has applied for 5 months. And you think that by 5 months, this project will be done. Sometimes we call back and ask them, would you want to review? Some others will tell you no, because I'm not around these 2 months, so I'm not gonna work on this project. So again, what do? You give it to another person. Eh? Yeah. So it's also very important for you to tell me why. This is a project again that was funded by Pulitzer, and we are looking at water shortage in the Nile Basin, and what happened to communities that faced water shortage, and what happened to them during the lockdowns. Yeah. So make sure that you tell the funders what you want to do, why you want to do this story. For example, in this story, when we were applying, we made sure that we showed what we wanted to do. We wanted to find out those communities that are already suffering, facing water shortage. How are they coping during the lockdown? And we got several stories, how these communities are starting different projects to make sure they support each other. In Ethiopia, for example, we found that communities in there and as actually benefiting. Government came in and started different water projects, and now they are benefiting. Yeah. So you want to also to show why now and not tomorrow. You may think about your topic and you want to show that it's very important for me to tell this story. It was very important, for example, for us to tell this story of water shortage during lockdowns, because we wanted to show that during that period what was happening. We want also to show the impact on communities. The funders want to see your project having bearing some fruits, not just to write stories and then you keep them in your newspapers and then they have no impact. Lastly, it is very important again to show how you are going to work on this and be so specific. Show how you're going to work on in your pitch. Make sure that you show how you're going to work on this. Show the strength of your investigation. You want to go a mile, an extra mile, not to look. For you to look outstanding, you must show your investigation. For me, as the funder, to know that this guy knows much more than these others we are comparing with. Yeah. Show details of how you will carry out your story project. Again, are you collaborating? I told you some funders want collaborations. They don't want they want to fund one grant, but so different media houses and different journalists benefit. If you think that this is one of their targets, go ahead. The two projects we've been working on for the National Geographic Society, I would make sure that I don't work on these projects at all. The first project, we had eight journalists from 8 countries in the Nile Basin, and we are looking at how communities are adapting to climate change, and our target is the cities in the Nile Basin. So we're able to send in our application and win this. Again, some funders now want solutions journalism. They want to see that you are giving solutions and not concentrating on programs. Again, show your budget. Make sure that your budget falls into their budget. Yeah. And again, it's very important for you to show how you're going to publish, or broadcast your story. Show your publication plan. It's very important. Are you going to use, for example, multimedia? Are you gonna, have maps? Are you doing geojournalism? What I'm showing you there is a map that we did for one of the projects, Sack to Dry, and we were able, to work to get data from an organization in Cape Town, South Africa, land matrix that tracks cases of land grabbing in Africa, and we were able to to show that we're going to be visualizing these cases and working around them to tell our story using data. Yeah, so some funders prefer multimedia elements, like I told you. So lastly, as I finish, you may say, what if I do not go through? What if I do not go through after doing all this? Like I told you, it has been happening to me. It doesn't mean that you're gonna win when you do all this, but keep knocking, try again. As you try, you learn something. Keep trying, keep trying. What you're seeing there is a photo I took in Cairo. Some of you guys who have been to Cairo, you probably know this scene. Yeah, that's all I have for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Fredrick, for that thorough presentation. And before I kickstart the Q&A section, once again, I would like our attendees to know that you can actually start asking your questions right now. So any question that is really, really pertinent to you, kindly put it in the Q&A box that we have here on the Zoom platform, or you can ask it under the Facebook live stream, and we are going to get to them in due course. So Rekha is next with a short presentation. You can take the screen, you can share the screen just like Fredrick did.
Yes, thank you, Fredrick. Very complete presentation. Just give me 1 minute to share my screen. Thank you. Yes, so I am Rekha Chandiramani from Panama. I actually got 2 investigative grants, one from Connect Us and the other one for the ICFJ. But I just wanted to take you over with a few tips on how to craft a winning pitch. Okay. Think about the topics constantly. Try to build a bank of themes. Think of powerful subjects with huge impact in society. Research always a bit in advance. Stay informed and look for what people are demanding in society. When we talk about the selection, try to find the right grant for your topic and approach, not the way around. Because this is very important, because sometimes us freelance journalists, we try to go over seeing all the grants that are offered and trying to get topics that would adjust to the specifications of that grant offering. That could be very tricky. It will save you a lot of time if you investigate in advance, try to keep a bank of themes, because you can, if you adapt your theme to a specific grant, you can win, but you can weaken the topic or lose that punch that you want to have in your story. Another tip I would give it would be read, and read, keep reading, brainstorm constantly. ask yourself, what are people talking about? Who is giving the grants? What is lacking in society? So this will be like doing a due diligence of what are the themes and who are giving the grants for what specific subjects. What are the problems that you see in your country? Is that if there's water, if there is human rights violations. So keep all that in track and try to find problems that are also long-term that you can try to fix, not by fix, but that they have a huge impact that can go over the reporting, that can go past, and that people can really take into account, and that it could have also a change in society. When you present your pitch, do it as a journalist, as a lawyer, as a salesman, and as an accountant. What I mean by this is, as a journalist, obviously you have to present a solid story that has an interest and an impact in your audience, and also that it will connect with the grant's objectives. As a lawyer, because it has to be solid enough to take any any disadvantages of any problems that it could come from your story. As a salesman, also, by selling all the things that are important, how can this story be attractive to the audience? Why it is important? Why you need to tell it? As an accountant, because take all the numbers, crunch the numbers, very good. So either you don't pass what you need, or either you don't work more, or you don't work less. So you try to fit the project into what the grant offers. Always follow up on the pitches you do. Try to, as I said before, from the bank of themes that you have, try to divide them in the to-do list, the pitches that you have in progress, the done ones, and the approved ones. So maybe if an organization did not give you a grant for a specific story, you already have that in bank to pitch to another organization. Once you publish, keep track of the response, the feedback, and the impact of your story or your project. Create a wave. What happened next? Keep on asking for a period of time, how people reacted, how policymakers responded. Here I want to give you a little example. The story we published, it was inside a project called Receta Justa, which is like just prescriptions given by the government. There was a problem of oligopoly in the drug market in Panama. So when we published this story, the investigation, actually, we show that 5 big distributors were creating this oligopoly that kept the prices, the drug prices high, even in the public sector and in the private sector. So we kept track and feedback, and the story caused that the legislators changed, at least partially, the drug purchase law. The people reacted also quite a long time. They're still reacting, and this we published in 2019. So try to take problems and stories that have this kind of impact well beyond the date that you publish them. Stories that usually, won't get published in local media because there are big interests, big investors that are keeping this local media from publishing or even investigating the stories. This was the case with the drug prices investigation we did with Receta Justa. The 5 big distributors are political donors, are high-ranking businessmen, and all of them had also ties to the biggest newspapers and media outlets in Panama. So having that in mind, that was a pitchable project for an international organization because it was something that it would have been very hard to publish or to investigate in a local news outlet. Okay, if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well. So a little quote I found from Albert Einstein, because this sort of closes up a bit what a pitch should be. It has to be simple, well understood, but it has to have a punch and a call for moving things in society that need to be moved, either legally, either society-wise, educationally. So, and I would take what Fredrick just said, keep on trying, and that's the only way you learn, and you be crafting day by day, month by month, better pitches. It's a process that you become expert only by trying. Thank you and good luck.
Thank you, Rekha, for that presentation. Now, before we go into the question Q&A session, I don't know if there is anything that Ezaldeen would also like to ask. Ezaldeen, are you still with us? While we wait for Ezaldeen, we have questions already. So the first question.
Yeah, I'm ready, sir.
Okay, yes. So please, Ezaldeen, what would you like to add to what other speakers have said that I think is still important?
So, okay, let me just wait. First of all, I'm Ezaldeen Arbab. I'm a journalist based in Khartoum. I work as a freelancer journalist in Khartoum. Now I work with INET, which focuses on conflict zones in Sudan. I want to talk about my project, which was funded last year in cooperation between Facebook and International Center for Journalists. First, I want to talk about the project, what I proposed to my story idea. My story idea was like executing a story about how coronavirus spread in the region of Darfur and what the measures that we are taking to prevent and also wanted to investigate the health crisis in the region generally. Why I choose Darfur? I choose to many who may not know much about Darfur. Darfur is the region that saw one of the worst humanitarian crises in the world, as more than 300 killed in conflicts that continued over 15 years between rebel groups and the government. So the region also have most vulnerable communities in entire Sudan. And generally, Sudan has one of the poorest health systems, but Darfur is the most effective in Sudan also, by the lack of medicine and doctors and health facilities. How I explain it, my proposal, or my plan to do the story. I explained my proposal as I wanted to visit the area of Darfur, and I wanted to talk to the stakeholders, and I wanted also to talk to the officials on the ground and the internally displaced people and all the concerned people in the region. So I also explained it in the project, in the application, how I wanted to publish my report. And the most important thing also, how can you explain, how describe your plan to use the funds if you are applying for project. I think this is a very, very important. For my application, I think I clearly explained how I plan to use the fund. For example, I said I would like to use the fund to assist me in some of the challenges in the logistics we face in reaching the conflict areas of Sudan. I also detail that this fund will help me to travel safely, hiring a car rather than taking public transport, where there are more risk of infection and accommodation in the Darfur area. In addition to that, I wanted to improve my reporting equipment, such as decent digital recorder for interview and audio, a laptop. So that's how I explained my plan to use the fund. Okay, let us just talk about short brief about what I found, how I found the health situation in Darfur. After I found it and went to Darfur and did the report. I found the health situation was worse than I imagined. In the entire city, for example, I found only there are only 35 doctors in the entire state of nearly 4 million. That's the truth. Also, most of the doctors don't come regularly to the hospitals. And you can spend the whole day in a hospital without finding a doctor, a specialized, for example, a specialized children doctor. Generally, the entire state of South Darfur, I focus on South Darfur. The entire city of South Darfur has, the entire state has only 200, almost 250 doctors. And most of them work in a private sector, private hospitals. The problem of private hospitals is that most of people in the area of Darfur cannot afford the cost of private hospitals. So that's a big problem.
Ezaldeen, we have a lot of questions already. I'm not sure we'll have time. Okay. I think many of the points you are making will still be relevant in the Q&A session. So please still save those thoughts and be adding them to the answers to the questions. So I think we should just go straight to the numerous questions that already are. So the first question that our participant...
Okay, just a minute. I would just want to highlight what I learned as idle ways to pitch stories for funds.
Okay, quickly do that.
Yeah, okay, good. First of all, what I have learned is that read the instruction of the grant carefully and stick with it. For example, some grantors may tell you not to include in your budget equipment cost, or may tell you not to include cost of local fixers and so on. In this case, you better don't do. You just have to stick with the instruction. You read carefully and stick with it. And also you need to put and focus only on the direct related costs. And the second thing is, don't let your budget exceed the maximum of the grant amount. For example, if the total amount of the grant you're applying for is 5,000, it's better to make the budget of your cost exactly equal to the amount. This is the second thing. The third thing is, you have to show them you have a great knowledge about the topic you are pitching. Because the panel that you are looking into your application, through your application and the way you organize things and the way you talk about the topic, know whether you have a potential to do it in a good way or not. So you have to be very careful, and you have to show them that you have a great knowledge. And that comes, and in this case, you need to do a lot of research. So before applying for research, you do a lot of research about the topic exactly. That may help you, and try your best to prove that you can do the stories in a very good way The balance of the graph filled from the explanations that you have a potential to, as I say. And the last thing, you need to show them it is safe for you to do the report. Once they ask you about samples of your work, provide them links to strong sample if you have one. Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Ezaldeen, for that presentation, for sharing your thoughts with our participants. And so, like I said, I would like us to take as many questions as we can. So the first question that we have is, what are some of the ideal organizations to pitch for journalism startup funding? I think Fredrick and Rekha can do that and take this. What do you think are some of the ideal organizations a journalist can pitch for journalism startup funding?
Well, there is a great page I think ICFJ had helped to put together that is INET. So they gather all these opportunities from different organizations for grants, for scholarships, for practices for journalists around the world, worldwide, and they concentrate. So that's a great instrument where you can find projects to pitch, where you can find organizations that are looking for journalists to even also they have for filmmakers. So it's a great instrument. I nearly every day enter and surf all the opportunities there.
Fredrick.
I don't want, I have nothing really to add on to what she's just said. There are guys from different organizations that sit down, go through internet and look for these opportunities and put them together for us for free. You can't believe. And then we go to the emails and we find them there. I mean, like what she told you, INET, they tell you, you know, the applications you grants you may apply for in the next month. And this stuff, yeah, you can always remember this kind of networks. They will always send these to your email for free. Thanks.
Yeah, so what they are referring to on the INET platform is the opportunities section. So if you visit iGNet.org/opportunities, you can actually see lots of opportunities as arranged like this. And I think it serves different types of journalists and different categories of persons. So it's a website, is a platform that I also personally use, and I'm going to recommend it for any journalist that is in search of new opportunities. Now, there is a another question we have here. So it's from Dawood Olatunji. It reads us, good day. I observed that some organizations have specific pattern of pitches formats. And sometimes when you check the website of the organizations, one may not get that serious clues. What should one do? And can you help avail us some pitch formats to help us? So what can you say to this? I'll start with Fredrick this time. Pitching formats.
Yeah. So I'll just start from the bottom. You can always reach me, and I share some of the pitches and the formats that I have, some of the award-winning pitches that I think you can use. But maybe I did not get your question, where you say some websites have their formats. Is that right? And then you go there, you don't find them or stuff like that. I encourage you to read through the instructions when you're going to apply. If they give you their formats, you must go by what they give you. I know there are some who want, to go ahead and, put in everything that you think you want to put in, and then you think you're going to, interest them in taking on your pitch. It may be hard because these guys receive so many pitches. And then if they see that you putting in some irrelevant stuff, they'll be like, this guy is gonna waste our time. We'll go to another one. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. So Rekha, what do you have to say about pitching formats?
Well, that is something that can be a bit tricky, but you have to read and adapt to what the organization requires. Always, when I was talking about the pre-investigation, when you are constantly brainstorming, when you get to a theme that you think it's important or that it has to come out somehow, but you don't have the funds to do the investigation, even you can go as far as and to be bold, even to propose a pitch to an organization that maybe they have interest in that theme. Probably they haven't published a grant offer yet, but you can go ahead and make a proposal, a pitch proposal, and take them, how that knowing that information or publishing that investigation could help actually to the society and the objectives of that organization. For example, here in Central America, we have a corruption problem that it's like a plague in all our countries. So there are organizations sometimes that are fighting against corruption. Sometimes they don't have this grant system, but you can go as far as to pitch with them, even though they don't have these things. So always try to keep like a support letter, try to keep all of that. So when the opportunity of a pitch offer comes, you already have the backbone of your pitch. That I think is the most important. Normally, filling forms and all of that, you have to do it. That's part of this process. Sometimes you cannot surrender because it's too much. It's a lot of work. It comes with it's like the sometimes not the nasty part, but the hassle comes with it. If you pitch, for example, I don't know, 10 pitches and you get 3 or 4, consider yourself successful.
That's a very serious and very, very wide margin, but it's okay. This question, I would like Ezaldeen to answer this question. The question goes thus, is it possible to share work samples that are not related to the topic of the project, of the grant project? Ezaldeen, what do you think?
Yes, I think you can even like provide sample of links that which are not related to the topic, because it shows you that you are able to write about many topics and you have a good knowledge about many other things, because many topics are related to others, like climate change also related to health and so on. So many topics are related to each other, so no problem. I myself, I did in my last project.
Fredrick, do you agree?
I don't agree. One, when I am looking for someone to give my money, or if I'm applying for a grant from these big guys who funders, I want to show them that I am an expert in this field. You realize? So I want to show them what I've been doing in this field, for them to sit and say, aha, this guy should take our money. It is okay when you're starting to do journalism that you don't have, pitches, you don't have sample stories. So you can get some, and probably you will go through, but you will struggle to compete with these guys who have been there. If for example, these guys are giving their money on to projects that focus on data journalism, you must show that you've been working on this. You have an experience of doing all this stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's very important that you do this. Yeah.
We have a tie here, so I think Rekha will be our tiebreaker. So, on which side of this pendulum are you swinging, Rekha?
I'm sorry, can you repeat?
Oh, the question is whether you can use unrelated samples for application.
That also depends because you have to study first who is offering the grant. Sometimes you have to read between lines and to see if the grant will be given to someone that doesn't have the experience or a lot of experience reporting about a specific project. If maybe they're looking to have more impact on something, probably they will seek a journalist that has been doing or that shows more impact on the things that he or she reports, rather than either a more technical reporting but with less impact. So I think that depends actually on what the grant is, the objective of the grant. Usually the objective is not given in black and white. So you have to read and study who's giving the grant, what are the necessities, how they're trying to connect to the people in that specific country or region. So I think
Yeah.
normally
Okay.
you would go with the samples that are related to the topic they're giving the grant for, but it's not in black and white, I think.
Yeah, so yeah, the lines are really, really blurred as far as this issue is concerned. And well, if you don't have, you just have to give whatever
I
you
want
have.
to I want to respond to Federer.
Okay.
Yes, Fredrick. First of all,
I'm
I
backing
want.
out of this.
Okay. First of all, okay, when they ask you about bringing your sample, like they want to know that you have a potential to do the work. You have a potential. Even sometimes they want to know that you are a journalist. So how can you prove them? You can insert any samples. So I think it should not be a specific topic. Like for example, if the funds about climate change, I don't have a problem to insert like links about my work sample on health crisis. It is very related.
Yeah, that's fine. I actually like the fact that you ended saying it is very related. If, for example, you are applying for a grant to do a project on climate change, certainly you wouldn't expect the journalist to send in a story about sports and showing how he did this story about sports. But if it is something related, I mean, if it is science, there's no problem. But again, I strongly believe that it is because you have no samples that you want to give in those samples that are almost related, but not the exact. You realize if you have them, why don't you give them? You see, these guys are looking for the experience and you have it. Why don't you show them that you have the experience?
Okay, we have to move on now. So there are two questions that are directed to Fredrick. So the first question is this, but I think other panelists can also share their thoughts. How do you answer the question of measuring impact? Fredrick.
So I'm not sure how you see, I think the question is not a question actually. Yeah, because if you want, I don't know if you want me to tell you about the impact of my stories. There are some organizations that do regular surveys of the impact of the stories that their reporters work on. One, they send out forms to reporters to write, to tell them how things are going on after your story was published, what came out. Did other media houses take it on? Did it cause any change on ground? Any policy stuff? Did the local leaders talk about your story? So you document all of this. This is the way you are able to tell the impact of your story. Yeah. So, but I really don't know if the journalist wanted me to tell him all that, or there was some other stuff.
I think the question is this: sometimes when you are making grant applications and the grant award, the organization giving the grant may want to know how you are going to measure impact. So the question is, what do you write in that section?
Yeah, most certainly now and then I think I have partly answered it. You can, for example, you can write that exact stuff. I would go ahead and follow up with, you know, find out what has happened in this community, if the local leaders are following up. But the best way for you to show the impact, to show that you know what the impact of your story will be and you are able to follow it up, is to tell the funders that you will follow up on social media, you know, after publishing, to see who has talked about this, for example, on social media and what they are talking about it. You are able to tell the impact, you know, as soon as possible on social media, because these stories are carried back to social media, and you see people writing about what was in your story, and you see how people, you know, are arguing on these issues. Then, if you are able, you know, show us all of this, that you are able to follow up the impact. Yeah.
So Rekha, what can you add to impact measurement?
Yes, that's a good question. Also, adding to what Fredrick said, measuring how the story it's taken upon other media, they pick it up. What's if there are people or other organizations talking about it, if there were any changes in that policymakers did based on your reporting, if there was any case open judicially because of the crimes or because of the irregularities that you're reporting brought up. So those are like major impacts you would want to also keep track once you publish. So you would put that, and you'll measure if the policymakers made any change, what kind of changes your reporting did to that system. So you have to constantly be on top for a period of time, maybe unlimited period of time, to be able to say 1 year after or 2 years after that actually, maybe not just because of your reporting, but that your reporting made a huge impact on changing the policy for so-and-so topic, or opening an investigation for any irregularities, any crime that was based on your reporting. I think that's the major impacts, the ones that give the grant are looking for. More than how many likes you got, more than how many shares you got from your story.
Now, there is also this question about budget.
Also, I think...
okay.
And also, just 1 minute, and also, I think it's not that this should not scare you, you know, about the measuring the impacts. Some funders put it there to make sure that you will help them when you're doing the surveys after your story has been published. And then if you agree, if you say, yes, I'll be, you know, helping you on this, then why not? But then later, maybe after the story, they may contact you and then ask you a few questions. So what happened after you published? I know you guys can do it. You tell them what happened.
Okay, thank you. So the next question is about budget. And the question goes, what constitutes a good budget? So let's start with Ezaldeen. What should an ideal budget look like? Then we'll talk to other panelists regarding this. Ezaldeen,
okay,
are you with us?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think a good budget is the one that should match the amount of the grant. Like I said in the beginning, if the grant amount is 5,000, you have to stick in 5,000. Like you don't have to add more money and so on. And also you have to put your related costs. Only costs is related. Like if you are going to travel to do your report in outside the city or so on, you have to count tickets hotel rooms, food, maybe fixers, maybe also you need translators, maybe car rental, and so on. This is a direct related cost. This is the very important. So you have to spend the most of the money here.
Okay, Rekha, what do you think about the issue of good budget?
Yes, that's also, it could be both ways. When you're proposing, then take, as I said, try to pitch also as an accountant. An accountant means that you have to have, first of all, clear in your head how much going through that, getting that investigation through would cost. So the costs, have them already like in the, it's a piece of paper from your pre-investigation phase. So either if you offer the budget, so then try to always not to go and to have to try to calculate, make the calculation so it doesn't, either you don't lose from giving also false expectations from what you're reporting or what the project is going to cost, and also not trying to give less than what the grant expects from your work. So I think that's a balance you also learn and practice by pitching and by getting different projects. Then you come to a point where you can say, okay, now I know this project, how I can work, what I can offer, what I can't offer, what I can deliver, what I can deliver. Always be transparent, always be forthcoming. If you have with, also there are some things, issues that any emergency. So try also to keep part of the budget, a little amount for any emergencies that might come up when you're reporting. And once you master that art, I think you will be okay.
Now, Fredrick, the way I want you to answer this question, I also want you to take something into consideration. Let's say a grant announcement says like, okay, they have like $3,000 to give out. And when applying, must your application, must your budget be exactly 3,000? Or can it, how much, what is the margin that is allowable, that you would recommend when you are applying for a budget that has already been capped at a specific figure?
Well, I want to give an example. For the 3 projects that we've been applying for Pulitzer, we've been giving our budget, and again, they write back and say we have some extra money to add on. So they give you some, call for applications where they say we have $1,000 to apply for, but if you think you need extra money, let us know. So if I were you, I would not. I would not go ahead and show that I need a lot of money. Be sincere. Show the amount of money you want for your project. I know funders will read through, if they think that this is a very good pitch and this guy needs more money, they are likely to offer you more money, but tell them exactly what you want. Do not just, blow up the budget because you want to finish their money they are offering.
So if Rekha, I also wanted to come in. So if it's $3,000 and I only need like $2,000, do you think the funders will still be okay to give me that $2,000, or I have to ensure that I had things up to that $3,000?
I think the grants, they give the money depending on how strong is the pitch, is the story pitch that you make. So obviously, I think if you have a strong topic and the way you present it is very strong, and you obviously think that you can do it, or you crunch your numbers and you think you can do it for 2,000, I think it will You can win it not because you offer or because you said I can do it with $2,000, but because the thing was strong enough that it was attractive to them. And also there are times a grant doesn't cover what you think it will be, that reporting. For example, if you want to make a documentary, in that will go way over $3,000. So it's also a process where you have to study, what you want to do and how, if it's possible or if it's doable with the grant amount that they are offering. If you already know, no, maybe I cannot make a documentary that I maybe wanted to do with this topic, and so it doesn't make any sense to, to apply with a documentary if that funds won't cover what you want to do. But if you can do it with less money, then be transparent and say, okay, this amount of money, even though it's less than what you're offering, it can be done. Because remember, also organizations are worldwide. So $3,000 in maybe in countries can you can get a lot for that amount of money. In contrast, for example, in countries where there are high prices for everything, for example, here in Panama, sometimes graphic designers and all that, they increase a lot the budget. So I think also you have to keep that in mind, from where you're applying, where is the organization based. But definitely, okay, you have to apply for the real amount that you need to do your project.
Okay, so we have this question from a journalist from Zimbabwe. The question goes thus: what systems do you put in place to monitor progress of the project from story idea up to publication? So let's start with Fredrick.
Yeah, so it depends on what you are working on and who you're working with. I would prefer that what you do is to work with your editor. If you have an editor, work with the editor and put in place systems that will guide you. When you start, the idea of pitching, talk to your editor. That one is done. When you send in your pitch, work with the editor. And then kind of move from step to step, show what you're doing, and then you're able to monitor how things are going on, from the beginning to the end. Oh, there's some software that you can take advantage of, and you track your progress of what is happening, step by step. There are so many, and you can even go to online, and some are for free. If you want, you can try out to Google Doc, and then you can take step by step, see how you're progressing, and then you record all, even the impact and stuff like that up to the end. Yeah.
Ezaldeen, are you there?
I'm here. Can you just bring the question again?
So the question is on how do you keep track of what systems do you have in place to monitor progress of the project from idea to publication?
I have usually like the funders usually appoint for you monitors. That's what I got. Like, for example, I have I'm doing a project, and I have my monitor, which is sharing with the idea, and sometimes even he books like questions for interview. So it is always better to have like a senior editor to share with you your idea. Maybe like he will help you by adding some question, by giving you even a new idea, that because he has a much more experience and went through like many things. So it's better to have a senior share your ideas with the senior editor.
Okay, thank you very much. So I think one of our last questions, we're already beyond the time allotted for this webinar. The question is from Emmanuel, and Emmanuel is a freelance journalist. And so he said, when an organization asks for a letter of recommendation, yet I don't have a specific editor or media house. In this case, how can I apply? Let's start with Rekha.
Well, in that case, I think you can go either way. Maybe an editor where you worked before, or maybe a school, a university professor that is familiar with your work, or maybe I think a university professor could be someone that can give you a strong letter of recommendation, and just be aware that you were good in class.
Who else who wants to add to that? Fredrick?
Yeah, I want to. But me, I want to take it on from another angle. If, for example, I was discussing with the journalist that sent in this one, I would ask you in the first place, why do you want to do this story? When after working on this story, where will you publish it? It's not just you applying for a grant and you get money and you work on the story and it ends there. Probably you want to sell it to your media house, maybe the biggest in your country. Why don't you approach them first and say, there is this brand, I want to, are you able to recommend me so I can win this one? It's very important if you kind of establish that rapport with media houses that you think will publish your stories. And then if you get a letter of recommendation of support, well and good. But try to see that at least you have friends in media houses that you think will publish your story. So when I read through this question, what came into my mind is that you want to work on the story, but you don't know how you're going to publish it. You see, and it's not right. First know how you're going to publish it.
Okay, thank you very much.
I want to add a small thing about the recommendation letter. Yeah, okay. Like when they ask you about a recommendation letter, it seems like a small thing, but this plays a very big part in the selection process, I think. And as long as you are freelance journalist, the guy said he's a freelance journalist. So you have worked with someone in this last year, this year. You have to contact all of them in order to do the recommendation for you, because it is very, very, very important. Thank you. That's all.
Yes, so you would have worked with somebody, and you should be able to convince. If you cannot convince somebody to give you a letter of recommendation, then it will be difficult for you to convince an organization to give you.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
So yeah, that is how I personally see it too. So we have our last question from Peter. Peter says, listening to all the facilitators, I get the impression that there is no page limitation to how much the winning page should be. How do you take care of this? How much is too much? So let's start with Rekha. How much is too much?
Okay, regarding, there is something that says the simple, the better. Less is much. So that the thing is, how strong is your pitch? It doesn't depend on how long it is. Definitely, it doesn't depend on how long it is. Sometimes we try to explain, try to convince, and the words we use are not the adequate. So I think keep it simple. Try to establish first the punch. What is the impact? Have a huge impact, and I think that could be a winning pitch. Keep it simple. Study first the case, and show that you're informed about the topic, and then you can make a reporting or a project that it's important and will be important over that it won't die in one day.
Fredrick.
Yeah, so Peter is my colleague, I know him. Certainly, I wouldn't say 10, 5, 1, a page. There are some organizations that, say 2 pages and they put their full stop, 2 pages, full stop. So if you're able to, convince them in 2 pages, well and good. I encourage you to do 2 pages. Certainly, when it goes to 3, they become so many. It's a lot of stuff to read through. I want to tell you guys that at InfoNile, we receive applications from journalists. There are sometimes when we get more than 200 applications from 11 countries, and you want to take a lot of time reading through all of this. So sometimes, you will see someone's long pitch, and then you go to the second paragraph, third paragraph, you don't get the idea. You are like, maybe this guy does not know. But if you are able to have your ideas in 1, 2, 3, 4 paragraphs, 1.5 pages, 2, good.
Okay. Now, and I don't know whether we still have time to take more questions. I think now, so what will be your concluding remarks? In a nutshell, how will you describe what are your recommendations and what are your closing remarks? Let's start with Ezaldeen.
Okay, my last remark is that do a lot of research before applying for the job. If you have a like idea about the topic, is okay. If you don't have, you just need to do a lot of research. You have to convince the panel that you can do it. And I think if you believe in yourself, you can get the grant.
Rekha?
Yes, I would say first fall in love with the topic you choose. Once you fall in love, then pitch it. If you don't get it, if you don't get one grant, then probably the next one. But if you really, first you have to be you have to have a lot of faith in that topic, and then you can make all the efforts to develop it with a grant, either one, and keep on trying.
Fredrick. Yeah, so Rekha stole my idea. That's the stuff I wanted to talk about. It's very important for you guys to develop that kind of experience. Every time I go for the fellowships for Earth Journalism Network and Internews, I meet these guys who have had, 20 years of experience in climate change, and they talk as experts when they are actually, journalists. It is what you need that you can use to apply for these grants. If you have that kind of experience, you will love your pitch because you know this is the stuff I've been doing. Let me do it. And when I'm reading through as the founder, I will be like, this guy knows what he's doing. Again, keep trying, especially when you're a young journalist. Keep trying. I have tried. I told you guys I tried 100%. I got 40. Yeah, you can do it. Why not?
Yeah, so thank you very much. From what we've gathered today and last week, it's actually very obvious that journalists, we have a lot of work to do when we want to increase our chance of being successful at grant applications. It is no longer a recipe for success to just put a pitch loosely together and send it to everyone and to hope for success. Instead, our panelists have shown us the reason why we have to be intentional and meticulous about the way we craft our pitches, and also about the way we adhere to the instructions of the grant awarding organization. So it's really, really important that as we go from today in putting those applications together, we are well informed about each of those grants, the applications that we are sending out, and we are aligning our pitches with the desires of the organization. And as they've also shown us, we also have to be masters of what we are doing so that we can actually convince those that are going to be the judges that we are the right person to give these grants to. It's on this note that I would like to appreciate our panelists for agreeing to really come to share their ideas with us. And I know many individuals and many participants are already asking us for access to their presentation, and which is why we encourage you to actually join us on the ICFJ Global Health Crisis Reporting Forum's Facebook group. So the way for you to get that is to open your Facebook app and search for ICFJ Global Health Crisis Reporting Forum. After this presentation, I'm going to make the slides available in the group. And if you still need information on resources for journalists, I encourage you to check out www.ijnet.org. There you can see thorough and extensive information for you that will be of help to you as a journalist. So it's on this note that we'll be calling it a day today, and we hope you are going to join us same time next week. We'll be talking about another really, really serious and important issue in the context of our reporting around this global pandemic. So my name is Paul Adepoju, and I say thank you for joining us today and have a lovely day.